Hey there, Bushkies. Before we dive into the hilarity of today's episode, we have a special treat for all you meat enthusiasts out there.
That's right. We're talking about Jerky in a Box, the Canadian-based jerky company that's been satisfying taste buds since 1949.
Did you know Jerky in a Box is 3 generations strong, family-owned and operated? They've been marinating their 100% Canadian beef for over 24 hours, resulting in mouth-watering jerky that's naturally hardwood smoked.
With 14 bold flavors to choose from, there's something for everyone. Whether you're a fan of the classic original or you prefer a kick with their spicy barbecue, Jerky in a Box got you covered.
And here's the best part. Our listeners get an exclusive limited edition. 15% off their order site-wide with the code The Bush League Podcast at checkout.
So don't miss out on this opportunity to snack like a pro. Head over to jerkyinabox.ca and remember, orders over $65 shipped free Canada-wide.
Welcome to the Bush League Podcast, a show about nothing and everything.
And we're back!
4 red lights.
Bad.
And lights out!
Yeah, that's where I was going with that too. Boop, 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 boop. And they're away at the Montreal Grand Prix.
Go.
Oh, man.
What are we going to talk about? Does anyone have any ideas?
I was thinking of talking about the
Well-
geopolitical issues that we've been having.
Go right ahead. The floor is yours.
And Gary calls my bluff.
I would be interested to hear that. Cam, what do you got for
Not a
us?
thing.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's too bad.
I'm not as political as Gary is in the background
So-
with a Ferrari flag.
The Ferrari flag, the Lando poster,
Santa hat.
I like that
I
one.
think you got him covered.
Santa hat.
Oh, what else do you got?
And
Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Oh shoot, where's my little McLaren?
Lego car?
Ah, shoot.
I do have a Martin Brundle autograph picture down here. I should have just sat here with it like this the whole time.
You want to do a grid walk through your house? Talk to everybody, Tyson?
Listen, if the laptop wasn't all tethered in, I
That'd be
probably
great.
could.
Just get right up in everybody's business in the microphone.
what do you make of the weather today?
It was wet. Very
Is it going to be a problem?
Yeah.
So,
Will it
boys,
play to your advantage?
we made her back. We went to the Grand Prix. We survived. And we have now lived to tell the stories.
Yeah, it was a piece of cake
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So
No problem.
real piece of cake. Well, can I add, Martin Brundle, jokes aside, was quoted, I read it today, as saying this was the worst Canadian Grand Prix
What?
he's ever gone to.
So
And I had just had the best time. So I'm conflicted on
It
what
was
he's
quite
saying.
muddy up in the area where the rich people sat.
muddy,
yeah.
but also,
Uh-huh.
did you guys
Well-
actually? Did you guys? Well, I think we already talked about it. The mess that went on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys read about that? I didn't even know this was happening. That's how big this race is and how many people there
So,
are.
when we looked
Yeah.
at the attendance,
So
it said 350,000 people had been to that Grand Prix.
Mhm.
And I believe every
So-
number.
So I think what we need to do here is we've got a lot of non-F1 fans who are interested in hearing the shenanigans
Tyson's
of the
reining
trip.
in the horses here.
Well,
We got to
most-
start.
most of what we can talk about here, it could have been a Taylor Swift concert
Yeah.
we were going to.
It's a
Do you-
big
do
event.
You know what I mean? It just happens to be F1, and we can talk a bit about F1, but you know how like there's anything from the lines to how we got there to picking up Cameron that morning to the police to the like we've got lots to talk about here in order to guys throwing beer cans at kissy face guy. Like we got lots of stuff.
So shall we rewind right to the beginning?
Sure. Picture it.
Back when Cameron was a kid, he saw racing on TV one time, and he said, "Hey, Dad, what's that?" Oh, too far? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we went too
That
far.
was 1990, Jeremy.
We didn't need to go back
son,
to the 1960s.
You see when one car wants to prove he's faster than the other.
When one car loves another car very much.
He starts revving his engine.
Until oil starts to leak. Anyway, sorry. That's all. Yeah. That was bad. So
Yikes.
we start with Thursday, do we? Do we start there?
Let's yeah, we can start with Thursday. So, between 9 and 9:30, Jeremy shows up at the house, and I put we put his bags in the back of my car, and within 5 minutes, Gary pulls in. We crack a couple jokes. We put Gary's bag in the back of the car. And I say goodbye to Amanda, and we drive over to Cameron's house. And Cameron brings out his bag, has the nerve to growl about the size of my bag.
I had a bag. You had a suitcase.
I'm going to go get some food. We'll see you
Then
guys
he
in a bit.
goes in and grabs another bag. Then goes in and grabs another small bag. Then goes in and grabs a cooler that he's wheeling out like it's a train, like cha-chunk, cha-chunk, cha-chunk out in the. But he had just growled about my one suitcase that had everything in it, including my bag.
I was bringing
That I was.
I was
can't
bringing
wait to
the
hear the
snacks
defense.
and the beverages for the trip.
I'd like to pause here to see the look on all the audience's face. In my defense, I brought 4 times as much as everybody else because I was bringing the snacks.
I do have to throw in a caveat here for as much as we laughed at the time of like, how are we going to fit all this in here? We we ate very well for the entirety of the trip.
Touche.
So, but
at the time, it was hilarious.
Yes. So then
And at the time,
And it was made
it was sold as enough
And it was
treats
made-
just to get us there by Cameron's father.
Yes.
this will do us on the trip up, boys. So we got 20 cinnamon rolls. we got a 5-liter Tupperware full of peanut butter cookies.
Correct.
We got another 5-liter Tupperware full of chocolate chip cookies.
Correct.
So if we divide that up 4 ways, what was the math you had on that, Gary?
We're not done
Remember?
yet. We had 2 bags of potato chips,
Let's
4 bags of
4
goldfish.
bags of goldfish.
Nutri-Grain
three or
bars.
4 boxes of 5. Yeah, Nutri-Grain bars,
box.
granola bars,
trail mix.
beef jerky.
trail mix. Yeah, beef. Yeah.
Cameron brought beef jerky, and we had the jerky in a box.
Yes, you may remember
Yes,
that
we did have the
sponsor.
jerky in a box. I will tell you that was on point.
Yes.
It was.
Just to plug it out.
But it was just
absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
Cinnamon rolls and beef jerky from Jerky in a Box.
and
I tell
not
you
just.
what.
I should clarify, not just like cinnamon rolls from the grocery store, like freshly homemade by Katie and her sister. Is that right,
No,
Cam?
Katie's mom made the cinnamon buns.
Katie's
made the
mom.
cookies.
Yes, the cookies. Yes. So you could feel the love in every bite, but we were well taken care of. For as much as we laughed every time Cameron went back in the house and brought something else out.
It was just like, can I be honest? Like, I at the time laughed and said, Cameron, like we're driving an SUV. Like, where do you think this is all going? But in the middle of this, before I even said it, he comes out and goes, "Oh, who brought the stinking suitcase?" as he brings out a bag almost as big as the suitcase, then a bag he's taking with him into the track every day, then the biggest chair for a bench anyone has ever seen.
Which became known as the riot shield.
Wider than
The
him.
chair will come up many
And
times.
then rolls out. Yes, and then he rolls out the cooler that is so big it
didn't
needs
have
wheels.
The wheels were broken. No, the
It has
wheels were
wheels.
broken.
Busted off.
Probably under the weight of all the stuff you.
So what I proceeded to do was take everything that the boys had put in the car, took them all out, and put it all back in, and I made it all fit, just like Jenga.
I think
Yeah,
Tyson could.
just when he says what all the boys put in the car, you mean
3 bags.
3 bags. You make it sound like it was this big. I'm
It
the
was.
master packer.
Had the riot shield that takes up a lot of room.
I hope people read into what I just said. But he took out like Gary's bag, Jeremy's bag, my suitcase that has my book bag shoved in the suitcase. You know what I mean? Like even my knee brace was shoved in the suitcase. I had shoes. Outside the suitcase.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
I was as he made 4 trips in the house.
Oh, so
Didn't you
So-
forget
so
something
good.
or leave something behind too?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Dignity, pride.
I don't have those. So I'm not missing stuff I don't have.
Well, we weren't even halfway through the plaster rock when it was like, all right, let's get into some of this stuff here.
Oh, no.
into
Unbeknownst to
some
you
of this
two in
stuff
the
then.
front who were still talking, Gary and I had already delved in long before that. I just didn't tell you.
That's fine.
Backseat
I don't even
benefits, I
think
guess.
Gary was on the plaster rock when he goes, what do you got in there? And he already unzipped it.
You guys didn't notice until the beef jerky came out. 'Cause
That's
it's hard
true.
hard to disguise that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Fair enough. So we had an
I just love
uneventful
that
trip
it was
up.
your father said that wouldn't even last us to
Yeah,
get
he
That
said
there.
wouldn't
that
even
would
get
get
you
us
to
to Montreal.
Montreal.
Little did we know that amount of food was going to do us the whole time we were away, and we still brought stuff back.
I think I said like
A lot of stuff.
maybe, yeah, when we were in our early 20s, late teens, probably could have taken that as a challenge and accepted it, but maybe not so much now.
Guys, I'm a 42-year-old man. And in 3 days, because I didn't have any on day 4, in 3 days, I had 9.
I think it was 12.
No, it's never been 12. I miscounted one point and thought it was 11 because I was kind of mad at myself for being one short of the veggie.
I replayed it in my brain.
I've had time to think about this. As I've replayed this, it was 9.
Oh,
It was 9.
So
Yeah.
on the way up, sunny, nice, drive was good.
Mhm.
Then I got to finally into Quebec and finally got to see this traffic. And then,
The
of course,
motherland.
construction, which I didn't realize is a full-time gig
Construction.
in Quebec.
Construction.
Construction. A lot. And then the weirdest signs ever, like the little curve. I was like, what does that mean? Does it mean we got to go around? Like,
Yeah,
Jeremy
that's
said,
weird.
don't understand this lane. Why? Don't worry, this lane will come out and it'll come back in. It's just kind of like a little chicane. I'm like, oh.
But there's a
It is
big
a chicane.
honking
Yeah.
arrow blinking in Quebec to tell you, it looks like it says get over to the left lane. And all it's telling you is, well, no, you're going to veer left.
You
Yeah.
stay in your lane.
That's all it
but
is.
it's going to turn.
anyone from the Maritimes has got the blinker on. They're like, oh, well, I guess we're going down to one lane.
Better get over.
And then you get up there and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
no, it's still 2 lanes. We just veered this way.
Yeah, we like veered like 20 feet
Yeah.
to the left.
Yeah. And it was deceiving. We had really nice weather on the drive up.
Yes.
We're having a great time, eating
Yeah.
a bunch of food. Look in the mirror. It's like, what's that coming? Big, nice McLaren sports car
Yeah.
coming up beside us. So Tyson waved to
Yeah.
them this hat. And, they threw us the horns. And it's like, you're driving that
That's
McLaren,
right.
but I got this hat. So who's really winning?
Yeah, that's
you know?
And I had put in the RAV4, in sport mode. Thank you very much. So for 3 seconds, we were side by side with those guys.
That is correct.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So eat your heart out there, McLaren boys.
Trail edition sport mode.
Bet McLaren can't go in the sand mode.
Yeah. Anyway, so he was kind of deceiving because the weather was pretty nice. Whole drive up, nice weather, and then you sort of forgot about the apocalyptic forecast that was headed for Montreal.
Yeah.
But
well, I kept not believing it. Like they've been saying that for a week. They're never right.
Chance and then 40% chance. Little did we know that was going to be 110%.
I know. And like for 2 straight weeks, it had rain and lightning bolts. And I'm like, okay, it's going to change. Yeah. You know, never did.
They're never right that far out. So.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get to our hotel there in Boucherville.
Our home.
No, sorry, St. Helen. I'm getting ahead of myself.
St. Helen.
And we get checked in, and they had our reservations. So in my mind,
we won.
It was a win. They knew we were coming.
No cancellation.
Yep. So I was like, okay, we're good so far.
Can we stop here to discuss the hotel?
Yeah.
I don't want to throw any franchise of hotel under the bus before we get all of our days in here.
I like that.
You like that? Okay. But like we had a nice spot to stay and they canceled. And then we had an okay spot to stay. We were a little worried about it and they canceled. And then we just booked a franchise hotel that's like 45 minutes outside of Montreal, like whatever, we need a sure thing. And they didn't cancel. And then it's like, wow, like they got rooms available on F1 weekend. And then we pull in and it's sharing a parking lot with
Nothing
a McDonald's.
wrong with that.
And no, that came in handy because the continental breakfast or the lack thereof a continental breakfast, right? And they got this big, what was probably at one time, Gary, a beautiful stucco building, but like the facades falling off the side and a couple of the awnings above the windows are missing and the sign doesn't light up all the way. And it was just kind of like, okay, so where, and like even some of the signage on the doors, I don't know if you guys noticed this. We noticed it on the Bronze Age door, right?
18
but
plus.
like the in and out, I don't know if everyone at home remembers, but when we were kids, everybody used to put the numbers on their house and they all look the same. And they were that parallelogram bronze sticker.
I still have the
number on it, and you could go
right
to
now.
Of course. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Because if it went on your house, it didn't come out.
That's right.
They're on
forever.
They've
been on there since the Bronze Age.
I feel like since the Bronze Age, and was speaking of which, that medieval pamphlet that you picked up at McDonald's. Amanda went to check the mirror in the car and folded the thing down, and the pamphlet falls out. And she's like, "What is this?"
I have to tell you, that is exactly what Gary intended to happen. He did that.
I knew he did it. I was waiting to see how long it would take you to tell us about it.
Well, it happened. Anyway, back to the letters. Every piece of signage on any door in this place was using those letters. That. Yeah, like if the door said in, if the door said out, and everything was kind of written in. It's funny because it was like we're in Quebec, but stuff's almost like in Franglish. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't want to write an English one and a French one, so they just went with stuff that they hoped both could understand. And these bronze parallelogram letters, like some of them are real long, and then some are like too.
Can I say too? Just.
But that was our first.
Yeah,
impression.
just to add to that. So this hotel, I am intimately familiar with. Maybe not. That's the wrong word. Not intimately. Well, not because of that. Not because of the 18 plus room. But what I mean,
the LARPing brochures are familiar.
So that exit, I know I remember it's 152. So when I have my truck driving days. Yeah, I know. I was like, that's a poor choice.
That's the best choice.
That's amazing.
So when I used my trucking days, I was always going from Ontario back to, New Brunswick. And I'd always stop in there because we didn't go, but the other side of the road where the McDonald's was, there's a service station there with truck parking, and they used to make wings in there. And so I'd pull into the parking. I'd go in and get my wings, sneak over to Tim's or McDonald's and get a coffee and stuff. So I used to stop in that exact that area like once a week for a couple of years. And I always saw that hotel and thought, man, that looks nice, you know? And it was like, so that's why I wasn't intimately familiar with it, because once we actually went to stay there and you're walking up to it and you get up close to it, you're like, okay. Well, you know, when you really look at it, you really start picking things apart. It's, it's kind of weird.
But in our defense, basically, we just went there to sleep. That was it. We weren't there.
Oh,
we
yeah,
hanging out. It was efficient.
So let's.
The beds were a little less longer for you tall gentlemen than a short person.
I don't know if it was the length so much as the width.
Yeah.
I think we got to discuss beds, the breakfast, and the cleaning lady if she does indeed exist. And then we can move on to the rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the first things first, we get checked in, and it was like we kept waiting for something to go wrong, and it just didn't. And Jeremy came out with the keys, and we grabbed our bags, and we walked in, and okay, there's a little restaurant / bar down here, and there's, okay, so that's where the breakfast room is, and that's the 18 plus Bronze Age room, okay? And
Still not entirely sure what goes on.
That door. We did not open that door. That was not happening. And I'm 42 and I see 18 plus. I'm not going in there. So walked upstairs, walked in the door. It does, yeah, but it's more fun than and so we walked upstairs and looked at the beds, and I think simultaneously all four of us went, uh-oh.
We're all like, well, those are small.
Those are small beds. Those are small beds. I think they were doubles, not queens. And I feel like double by whose standards?
This is correct.
It's a hotel that fits very well in the 70s, and I don't know what the double size was in the 70s.
Was then.
Probably, yeah.
I think people were a lot smaller.
Maybe by double bed, they meant the room had two beds.
Yeah, that's true.
Because these were...
Yeah, so we were going to get cozy real quick, for sure. Yeah.
It wasn't too bad.
Because I'm short, and I fit on it.
Well...
Yeah.
I know me and Jeremy would start out every night facing away from each other. At some point, we woke up and our bums would touch. You know what I mean?
I want to tell you, though, you know who's best suited to share a small bed like that is husbands, because we know how to sleep in the tiny, like, you know what I mean? We are used to this.
I only need the edge anyway. I've got a king size bed here, and I only use the edge.
I'm looking over at you. I'm like, he knows what's up. He's on the edge. I'll be on the edge. And when we do the rollover, we don't do it's not like a this. It's like you stay in one spot and you do the shuffle.
It's
right?
up and turn and down. Yeah.
Right?
So you stay in one spot. 100%.
So I never verbalized that, but I was like, we know this will be fine.
We got this.
Yep.
It's kind of true, right?
Then later on.
It's kind of like you have a bed in fours, and you know you're going to get one out of the four, so you just... I think Gary and I
shift
actually
around
have space between us.
Well, if I'd have known that.
Right in.
Yeah.
So, that actually went okay.
That bed was
day
as hard
one,
as a
the
rock.
hotels, so we can talk about the trip. Yeah, it was.
Gary,
it was.
Yeah.
And the shower didn't
Oh.
have the ceiling fan in there.
It wasn't a ceiling
it had
fan.
some form of a heat lamp.
It was a heat.
We would say,
yeah.
it was,
like you flipped it on, and no fan turned on, but this bright light. I felt like I was like in an interrogation room, and I was being tortured. It's like, why is it getting so hot in here? And I look up, I'm like, why is that?
Oh man, it was a death laser from Austin Powers or something. And you'd flip the light on, and you hear the transformer. There's like some utility room, and you hear the transformer. You're like, I think I should have sunscreen on being in here. But yeah, giant heat lamp.
It's the Bronze
And if
Age
you stood
light.
in there, yeah.
Oh man, we didn't get sunburned at the track. We got sunburned trying to take a shower.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, and the shower was oddly like the towel, like the curtain rod. They had
where they hung the curtain rod. It's like you lost 6 inches of shower. And like a shower curtain's a shower curtain, but I'm already. I don't know about you guys, but why didn't we talk about this when we were there? But like I don't know about you guys, but like I'm a fairly large fella, and I'm bent way over trying to wash what hair I have. And then you go to turn around, and you can feel your wet arm go
sliding all along it. And you're
across the shower curtain, and this is a hotel room. It's not a brand new room I'm sharing with my buddies. It's 1,000 people have.
You're thinking of the tens of thousands of arms that have come before you, sliding across this curtain that's been there a long time.
Yeah, since the 60s, maybe the 70s.
And where they hung this, they didn't hang it. It's like they
drilled the holes.
Did an enclosed shower, and they parked holes through this thing and shoved the shower rod through the shower.
They get acrylics around, and they.
Oh, they lost a full 6 inches of possible shower space by doing that. Like it is a narrow.
Because you guys are taller, you didn't realize. Remember when I came in?
Yeah.
I at one point came out of the room and said, "Man, that floor is some slippery." And you guys were like, "Oh yeah." What you didn't realize was I did that when I was trying to get out of the shower because I'm short, and one leg went out and one leg went in.
Oh man.
And
I didn't know that. I remember you saying
did you
that.
not notice when it came out, it was kind of like hobbling. It was because this thing, like
Cameron
most
took a
tubs
tumble.
are like about to my knee. This thing was almost like up to my waist, and I was like trying to step over, and
it was a weirdly proportioned bathtub.
So I did that when I hit the floor. I went whoop. One went one way, one leg went back into the shower, and because it was so high, I didn't have that far to fall, but that still didn't matter. Because I hung there for a minute going,
it wouldn't.
I can't, I'm not going to call for help. There is no way I'm calling for help. Like, I will get into this situation myself.
All of a sudden, the paramedics are knocking on the door. Hey, we got a call for someone in here. We're like, what are you talking about? Like, what?
You got a solid 30 minutes to leave before that heat lamp will fry you.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't tell you that because I figured you'd make fun of me
best.
bad enough, and it was good for this, so I thought I'd save it.
I remember you saying that too.
So morning one, we go downstairs and we're thinking like, okay, so between packing, we all pack snacks, believe me, like we were all packing cinnamon rolls and pepperoni sticks. And again, thank you to Jerky in a Box, because I think all of us took a different flavor of jerky 100%. And it went in our book bags. And downstairs, and the plan was, oh, sweet, free continental breakfast. We'll save money on breakfast. This is great. I'm going to eat breakfast at the hotel. I'm going to snack all day. And then I'll either eat at the track around supper time or eat when we get home, or a combo of both. But it'll be fine because I won't need to pay for breakfast and I won't need to pay for lunch. And we go down for breakfast to discover, okay, I think that's Raisin Bran. That's Fruit Loops. I see there's warm yogurt sitting on a tray, just enclosed.
Don't know when that was taken out.
And then they had 2 different flavors of muffins, but they had cut each muffin in the one with the wrapper still on. Why they sat there and cut the muffins into quarters. And so if you took a piece of a muffin, you're pulling 25% of a muffin wrapper off the bottom of the muffin. Then there was bagels. Bagels weren't bad.
I don't know where
the bagels weren't bad, fellas. Yeah, yeah. And then they had what was frozen waffles, but now they're soggy. Because they had just taken frozen waffles and threw them in this bread container thing and left them there. So who knows how long in the morning, if it opened at 6, that they were sitting there, and we're there at 7:30. These frozen waffles have been laying there for an hour and a half thawing out. And so I reached in the first time with the tongs to grab what I thought were frozen waffles, and they went like just all soggy, and I'm trying to squeeze them into the toaster because it's
flopping
You know
in
what
there.
I mean? Like it's
Could have
not.
poured them in there.
Yeah.
I thought I had
So,
a hack with this because I thought, well, the dairy, like the milk was in the
The milk in a bag.
milk in a bag in the cart,
Mhm.
but like the container was all like sweaty, like it had been sitting out for a while, and it seemed close to room temperature along with the yogurt. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm just gonna go straight in the fridge over there, and I'll get it out of there. It'd be nice and cold. So you open the fridge, and you take the stuff out of the fridge, and it's the same temperature,
Yeah.
and you're like,
It
As
was,
the
but it
stuff
was,
on the-
but it was an
So-
actual like cooling, like it was an industrial
commercial. It's a commercial fridge.
Oh, yeah.
And when you like
Commercial
first
unit.
thing you notice is when you look
Not
down on
working.
the floor, the grate
Yeah.
is off of it, and you can see everything underneath it, and you're kind of like, that is not a good
Yeah.
sign. How often does
Like
something
someone had-
happen here? That
And
they
there
leave
is an-
this off?
Trying to figure out why it's not working.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's under like a commercial fridge, but it's like an inch of dust and grime on everything under there. Like it has never been touched.
Yeah.
And on top of that, so Jeremy's not allowed to be in this fridge. Our give a crap meter's broken. And you know how like guys, there's stuff with this breakfast we haven't talked about out loud because like our weekend was like we ended up having a great weekend. But like the lady who was singing to herself that worked there kept coming in and out,
Yeah.
in and out. So like I don't know, like did you guys have the orange juice?
I
No.
did, yeah.
No.
It was
Yeah,
terrible.
it was something weird with it.
That was the worst orange juice I have ever had in my life. And I was trying to make eye contact with some of you guys, like this is bad. This is not. But I can't say it because she's in there going, bringing while she does whatever. So I didn't want to say it and insult her. And then I had the coffee, and the coffee was
You should have
Yeah, it was
you should have
very,
seen
very watery.
like
I
I've
couldn't
had
finish
worse.
it.
I've had
when
worse.
Tyson, when
No,
Tyson
run-
took the first
Watery
sip,
coffee.
he just set it down and he looked at me and he looked at it and he looked at me and I'm like, well, that can't be good.
No.
Very watery.
So it was almost like all four of us were thinking about it, but no one said it out loud. You know what I mean? Like we had so I had some waffles that I think only weren't bad because I drowned them in
Yeah.
syrup,
Yeah, that's true.
right? The blatantly no-name syrup they had on the thing. And then like the yogurt's room warm. And the second I tried one the first day, I never went back to it again. And the milk's in a bag and the orange juice was terrible and the coffees were watery. And on the very first day, so this happened every day, but like we're only talking the first day, we kind of like we're halfway outside and it was kind of like, so we go into McDonald's.
Because it's right there.
Because
Like it's right across
literally, it's less than 50 feet away. Like it's right there. As soon as you step out, you turn McDonald's. It's like,
Oh yeah, like you take 20 steps, you're in their
You're
drive
there.
through. It was right.
I
it was
also
right there.
enjoyed how where you'd have the breakfast, like it was built, it was finished and installed in the 70s, or I'm gonna guess, and like those tables and chairs have never changed.
nope.
Like it's the
They've never changed.
It's the
There's no rhyme or reason to
They're just
them.
that-
You can't pull a chair out of some tables.
The
It's-
upholstery
yeah.
is like right out of the
It was rough.
70s, like easy.
oh, and it's got it's got 3 or 4 layers of cigarettes in it. When people probably used to do that before it was all separated.
yeah, oh,
and-
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So under the premise of us still saving money on food all day because we were told the food was very expensive and the lines were long, we decided to still every morning persist with this continental
was free.
breakfast. Eat what we could. Take your quarter muffin.
Which
You know
I
what I mean?
did.
Have a warm yogurt. Like on day 3, I tried the orange juice again just to see if it got any better. It did not. And then go to McDonald's, use our points, and have a $10 breakfast. So that I was good and full. So I had a cheaper breakfast than I normally would at McDonald's because I've already eaten
Had a
something.
base.
And then off we'd go to the track and really would snack all day. Like we'd sit down and watch it, and I'd open my bag, and here comes the jerky in a box, beef jerky, and here comes a pepperoni stick, and here comes the, the fish crackers and fish crackers and fish crackers, and the, you know what I mean? And 9 cinnamon rolls. Like that worked out. But that was the morning. Every morning was I have never. It might be the single worst continental breakfast I've had in a while.
Yeah, it was bad.
Ever.
Yeah. I'd
It
like
was
to
rough.
say,
It
so
was rough.
I don't know what day it was, but Gary, you tried to bring a couple of cookies in with you.
Oh, that was second
And that
day.
was one of the
That was-
funniest
that was-
things I've ever seen.
That was Saturday, and I didn't mean to take them with me. I just we were going to McDonald's and I ran up to the room to grab some cookies to have with my coffee and threw them in the bag and then forgot all about them. Then I end up at the racetrack right around lunchtime and I'm like, oh, I should have a snack. I'm hungry. And at this point, we're sitting in our assigned seating. So I'm sitting up with a bunch of strangers around me. And I just sit down. And the very first thing, I reach into the bag and pull out, it's this giant freezer-sized Ziploc bag. And it has 2 granola bars and some peanut butter cookies that have throughout the day become completely crushed down to a grain.
Just completely pulverized.
So I pulled
basically like a dust.
Pull this bag out of my backpack, this giant bag that I have to pull out like this and hang in front of my face. And it's just this powder of peanut butter cookie in the bottom corner of the bag and all these strangers sitting beside me. And I unzip the bag and reach in and haul out one of the granola bars. Pretend that none of the cookie is there.
I was
hoping it back in my bag.
I was hoping you would have reached in. All over your face. What, you never seen a peanut butter cookie before?
Eventually I did. There was some like tiny crumbs big enough to pick up that I eventually reached in and started grabbing.
I just love how the person was sitting beside you and they were kind of like, what? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, and there was no hiding it because to get the bag out of my backpack, I had to like hold it up over my head.
So we should move on to how we got there and the actual race itself, like the stuff that's there, because we're already.
Oh man, we're gonna be forever.
I just remembered something else from. I just remembered something else from breakfast. So Jeremy's sitting with Gary, and Cameron comes over and sits with me. The tables were also small. Yeah. They had 4 seats at these tables. There was not room for 4 people.
It's like a bistro set size.
Like a bistro set.
It is very, but with 4 chairs. Cameron comes over, and I honestly had the moment. You'd ever have a moment with someone, and you're not, like, nothing's hitting you funny yet, but you're like, huh. You know what I mean? Cameron rolls over with a mounded up bowl of Fruit Loops. No spoon, no milk. And, like, I didn't clue in yet, and I'm just kind of like, huh. You know what I mean? And I kept eating my, soggy waffles. Cameron reaches deep in his pocket, pulls out a baggie, actually does the
get that thing,
whips the bag out.
Yep, get it all straight.
Cracks it open, grabs the bowl of Fruit Loops, and he's trying to funnel the bowl of Fruit Loops into the baggie. And I looked at him. I said, "Cameron, what are you doing?" You know what I mean? It's almost like someone bringing baggies to a buffet, and he goes, "You'll thank me." Stealing Fruit Loops from the continent. No, good for you, man. It was so bad. We should have taken the soap. We should have taken the towels.
Big, huge Ziploc baggie the next day, and I'm like, I could put that right under that cranking.
Fill that right full of
Fruit Loop.
Oh, man,
wrap it right around the whole, like, stick it.
Because if we hadn't known how the rest of the trip was going to go, we should have tried to win that battle. Because, so the cleaning lady never came to our room. We left all day. We came back, and we're like, oh, all of our bags and garbage is still there from yesterday. Okay, that's weird. And we come back the next night, you know what I mean? And like that night, like we got takeout or whatever, we didn't really get to eat, you know what I mean? And we hadn't even really checked out the food prices at the race. We just thought, oh, okay. And so like McDonald's is right there. We come back. I think 3 out of the 4 of us went and got a bag of McDonald's, right? And we ate it, and all the cups and, okay, now the garbage is overflowing. We go to the track the next day, come back. She still hasn't come. The towels are on the floor. There's garbage on the floor. Both garbage cans are overflowing onto the floor. And like it wasn't.
Our beds weren't,
like nothing was
done
clean.
with the beds. Like,
no. So the last morning, Jeremy kind of awkwardly pulled the, like I just didn't know. Like, are they cleaning today? Almost like, is this a bite?
Yeah. Oh, we missed cleaning week.
Oh, yes. Why? And they wrote down our room number and everything. And Jeremy just said, well, it's just like our garbage is emptied at least or something. Like, I don't think anyone's been into our room. They said, okay, sorry about that. We went about our day. We come back. They were in our room, but all they did was hang 2 new towels, left the dirty ones on the floor, and emptied the garbage and left. They didn't touch the beds. We didn't have enough towels again. Left the dirty towels on the floor. Didn't like nothing.
Like
Just left.
it
Just
very
left it.
unintentionally looked like a frat house.
It did. It's true.
Like it's like I think we're all trying to be neat here, but there's the garbage cans are only so big. I can't put this towel anywhere but on the floor.
No.
So
The pile of garbage was 3 times the size of the garbage can now. In a neat, tidy pile. Because it was just, I'm not kidding, like people can't see me if they're listening in the car, but like the garbage can's 12 inches around. It's just one of those
it's like,
cylindrical.
let's say be like by your desk at
Office
work
garbage
or
can.
something.
Yeah, at work. You know what I mean? And there's 4 grown men eating McDonald's and you know what I mean? A lot of beef.
Just looking in the contents of the garbage, it's like, wow, these guys had a good time, I guess.
A lot of McDonald's.
Guys just ate McDonald's and beef jerky the whole time they were here. Yeah, so anyway, so that's all kind of nutshell. The hotel, it was wild. But like, so Friday morning, right? It's like, okay, it's like free practice day, first day of the race.
Yeah, we're
Here
doing
we
it.
go,
We're
here we
going.
go. And I'm still in my mind, I'm like, we have a lot of things that could fail
Truth
still.
be told,
you know?
you could see it in your face that morning of, okay, this has to go well. What's going to go wrong? I have to be prepared. You were mentally preparing
Yeah, 100%.
yourself.
I just waiting for it all to come crashing down.
Very, very first thing we get in Boucherville, we have to go get the metro tickets.
Passes. Yeah.
So we go over to the drugstore that we knew we could get them at, and it's not open yet. But guess what's next door? McDonald's.
So I think Gary made the joke of like, we're boys in Montreal, best food in the world. We've been at 2 different McDonald's.
So yeah, another breakfast, kill half an hour at McDonald's.
I just want to. My favorite too was like we pull into that shopper, like the Shoppers parking lot, and like we realize we're about half an hour early. So half an hour early means there's some employee cars sort of in the back, and they're just arriving. And there was the one woman who we ended up talking to later. But she like walks by in front of us, and here's 4 guys all decked out in racing stuff, sitting in front of the Shoppers, like waiting for it to open. And she's just like,
She did. She took a double take at least a couple times.
it's just like, yeah, we're so pumped up about Advil and Christmas cards. Like, we can't wait to get in here. Like,
Could use my points.
Anyway, so
Could use my points.
We weren't alone. By the time that thing opened, there was 12 people waiting to get in.
yeah, they were like lined up.
Waiting out
Like
on the
maybe we should have
sidewalk.
camped out here so we could get in. Anyway, so we go in there and like I had gone and figured out our transit cards and how that was all going to work. But I was like, okay, this is the moment. You know, there's going to be none here, isn't there? It's like this is an old. They used to sell
something's
them
gonna go
or
wrong,
something. Anyway, so sure enough, we asked them, and like we're speaking English, and she's trying to figure out what we're saying, and I'm like, oh no, and then I showed her a picture of the card. She's like, oh yes, right here, and I'm like, yes.
But during all this, we're trying to get this card before the bus comes to the spot that we need to be.
Comes.
Yeah. So, and I should say too that we had like I had the official transit app with the stops kind of programmed in, and then Gary's using Google Maps. So between the two of us, it's like, okay, well, what does yours say? Well, mine says this. Well, what's yours say? It's like, okay, well, they're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think we're okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So we get the passes and then we go to this bus stop, which is like, it's like 4 acres.
It is.
It's huge.
It's massive.
Massive parking lot.
And everything I read, I don't know about you guys, but everything I read, because especially like when we're just getting there and we don't know where we're going, we're not talking about this stuff out loud. We're just like, okay, well, when's the bus come? Where does it come? Do we have to stand over there? Do we go over here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was expecting, okay, so like parking's going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
I swear we watched a tumbleweed roll by.
No,
There was one other car, I think.
the fox ran out.
Yeah.
A fox
Literally, a
walked in
fox
front of
ran
us.
through
We
the
were like,
parking lot and stared at us like we were idiots. Like, what are you guys
Like
doing
you could
here?
have parked.
I'm going.
What would you guess? Like 200 or 300 cars in there?
My guess is 200 to 300 cars. You
At
took the
least.
words
Yeah,
out of my
and
mouth.
like-
We were one of 2 cars that were in there. And as we walked out of the parking lot, Cameron's not exaggerating. A fox comes up out of the ditch, stops in the middle of the road, looks at us like, "What are you doing?" And then he kept on trotting, like we were in his space. Like a fox lives in this parking lot. That's how few people park here. And it's for carpooling, right? And taking the bus and getting on the train. That's what it's for.
Just
And there's
all 3
nobody.
days. Nobody.
We were one of 2 or 3.
oh no, that's
there.
Busiest.
we did see on the second day when we were waiting, the bus pulls up because only certain buses went into this spot. So me and Jeremy are talking and we're waiting, and we look over and this bus stops and 2 dogs get off, just random dogs, not tied. They just got off and started walking around the bus, and Jeremy's like, "Are you seeing this?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one." Just these 2
huskies,
got
just
off
2
the
big
bus.
white huskies.
They were just walking around. There was no one out there. I'm like,
And it was probably, Cameron, it was probably only 2 minutes, but it seemed like 20 when you're watching, because the woman who had the dogs, who eventually appeared, just didn't get off the bus with the dogs.
dogs just got off. They were walking around.
You
I'm
know
like,
what I mean? They just trotted off, like, la, 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 and like walking around the bus. And like, it was Cameron was talking to Jay, and then Cameron's elbowing me, and he's like, you know what I mean? There's 2 like majestic white dogs just
It's like, what do they have? Transit?
walked off the bus on their own,
passes?
and the door was closed on the bus. Like it was closed, and then this woman eventually did get off the bus, but for a bit it was like, what the?
And I had this
They're just
moment of
dropping 2 dogs out?
I was looking at it like, oh man, are you gonna tell me that these dogs can get around Montreal better than we can?
dogs are better trained to get on and off the bus.
Strange bus stop, like
Well,
nice,
also-
very recently built.
At that bus stop, in the middle of nowhere, there's a single porta potty, which is just the weirdest thing I've ever
Which came in
seen.
handy because of our diet leading up to this point. Came in handy for me on Friday morning, I'll tell you that.
There's a we're looking at it and we're like, okay, so it's kind of got like winterized for like it's got this thick wall built around it. I'm like, what is
The
this?
heater.
And it's June.
June.
And I'm looking, I'm like, what is that cord hanging out from like out the side of this is just plug-in. Just a cord. I'm like, what is this all about? Tyson comes out, he goes, there's a space heater in there. And sure enough, there's a space heater this big by this big bolted to the floor. I'm like, I don't know how that could remotely be safe.
It's the most
And the placement of the space heater.
Space heater and a
pretty
porta
close
potty.
to ground zero.
It's great if you're sitting on that toilet in December.
I would
Yeah.
think so.
I mean,
Not so great if you're trying to use that little makeshift urinal.
the accommodations
You know what I mean?
of this a post-apocalyptic bus stop porta potty rivaled our hotel room.
Yes.
Like, anyway, the bus stop was so weird. Anyways, yeah. But our plan was we're in Boucherville, which is on technically the south shore side of the St. Lawrence River, because we don't know how this goes. So I just thought, let's get as close as we can to where the transit starts. We'll take the bus in to the metro station. Like, let's not fool around with traffic and all that because we don't know what we're getting into. Looking back on it, I think if you would have said, let's just drive into the metro station and find somewhere to park, I think that probably would have been fine because like the traffic was completely normal. Like it was fine. You know what I mean? But
I wasn't expecting it to be fine.
No. And I've since kind of read that on the South Shore, it's a lot quieter than, everyone heading to downtown Montreal and coming from that way.
Good to know.
But anyways, yeah. So we take the bus for like 20 minutes into the metro station, which crossed the river.
On the bus, so as we're driving in this bus and we're sitting there and we're still trying to figure out first day, we're trying to figure out, and on Friday we're like, all right, where are we gonna go? What are we gonna do? And all of a sudden we stop at this bus stop, and all of a sudden you hear some guy and he comes up and he walks right by us. He goes, well, I'm gonna come back with the racing fans because you guys all have gear on. And him and his 2 sons got on the bus, and we're like, he's like sitting down and he's like, oh, I'll hang out with the racers, no big deal. So then next thing I know, he says, oh, well, this is our first time, blah, blah, blah. He goes, well, I've been to 12 Canadian Grand Prix. And I could see Jeremy looking at me going, we're just going to follow this guy.
Yeah, exactly. You've been to 12 of these and you're on this bus. That means we're on the right bus.
Yes, we are in the right place.
Yeah.
Can I just preface this to say, and gosh, I hope I picked the right song. So Jeremy goes into the porta potty first. I'm waiting outside the porta potty. Gary already knows where we're going with this. We're probably 300 yards away from the actual bus stop. And they got all these, and it wasn't even the bus stop you're supposed to be at, but people can picture it. They got all these colored, like bus 80 is in pink and bus 78 is in red. And you're looking at all these lines. And there's Cameron, right? With this massive folding seat hanging off his back with these orange sneakers that he's bought. And he's walking, and like, to be fair, like me, Gary, and Jeremy are tall, but where they hung these signs are even above our head.
They're way up there.
They're up there for some reason. And Cameron's shorter than us. All right, he's an average heighted dude. We're just, you know what I mean? Us three hit our heads a lot. And from far away, I'm watching Cameron walk real slow with this like thing that's twice as wide as he is, which will come up several times across his back. And I hope I got the right song for this, but this is the song that I don't know the name of it, but in my head, like.
I think that's when they're leaving the Shire, isn't it?
That's when they're leaving the Shire. And I'm just standing there, you know, like Gary's walking in front of him like he's Sean Bean. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay, Frodo. But you're so far away from me. So like, Cameron, you look like this tall, from way where I am. But that chair on your back is so big. Like, all I see is like this. And like, you got to understand, Cameron, you're looking, because the signs are like insanely high for all of us. But Cameron's short, so he walks up to the next sign with this big thing on his back and goes.
He was using the Google Translate on his phone, so he's going around holding his phone.
Holding the phone up. Yeah, which is smart.
Whoever put these signs up, even if they were 7 feet tall, needed a step ladder. I don't know why they hung them
and
up
they're
that
tiny.
High.
Like you can.
They're not big, but they
were like a foot tall and 8 inches wide, and you're like, I think that's an 80 on there.
There was no 80.
I should have taken a video from far away and then edited it later with the music. It was the visual of, you can't tell it's a chair from far away. It's just this massive black thing that's wider than him.
So speaking of the chair, we get to the metro station.
Yes.
Oh, man.
We follow the strangers that also have racing gear on through the metro station so that we know where we're going. And then we go downstairs. And this part's funnier when Jeremy tells it. Well, I'm going to put him on the spot.
Well, so it's just, so we're all like, we've got these cards, right? And these transit cards, I should tell you too, they're like paper thin. Like Gary had his for like 30 seconds. It already had like a 3/4 or a quarter.
I can't believe with all the rain we were in that they were still working, because it was just this cardboard.
Oh yeah, they were just like
Bristol boards thicker than these are.
A McDonald's paper bag with like just the weirdest, and
with
somehow
it
has a chip in it. So we're kind of, so the thing is we'd follow these F1 guys, and we're on the bus with them. They get off and they just start beelining. So it's like, well, they're going to the same place we are, so let's try to follow. So we were getting our stuff on, we're running off,
and it worked.
And it did work. But like, so we go downstairs and you get to the gate where you're supposed to scan your card. And we're just all sort of focused on, okay, where do I scan this? I scan it here. And everyone's in a big rush, right? So I'm behind Cam, and I can see it.
When you put the card down, a big, huge block comes up and says, okay, or good. Like,
yeah,
big, huge,
whatever.
It's green or it's red. If it's black, it didn't detect anything. If it's red, it's expired.
We'll
if
put
it's
it
green,
this way.
you're good.
To that point, we're green.
Yeah. So And we're all just kind of like, okay, I got the card. Okay, I think I scan it here. We're all going kind of quick. Tyson goes through. Gary goes through. I'm coming up behind Cam. I see he's got his thing out. And just as I kind of realize, I'm not sure that's going to fit. He hits that gate like full bore. And the chair just catches the narrow thing. And it just kind of like, and he goes like this, and the chair is all like fetched up, and he's like trying to back the chair all caught up, and he's freaking out, not even caring about that, because when he scanned it, it didn't work. The big red thing comes up, says denied. So we're looking at Tyson and Gary on there as if they're on the last chopper out of Vietnam, and we're like, what are we gonna do?
Go see the guy. Go see the guy.
Here you go see the guy.
I can't. But like I'm no help to Cam because I'm double over laughing because the chair got all jammed up. So they're telling him go see the guy, and then Cam, what is this guy? What did he do?
So I go to the guy and I'm like, all right. So I kind of looked at him and he couldn't understand me. I'm like, my card doesn't work, and he goes, what? I was like, my card doesn't work, because he didn't understand English, I don't think. And he went, what? I'm like, didn't work. Scan it. And he goes, oh, and then perfect. He goes, oh, just a second. He walks up, scans, he goes, go.
And like doesn't check Cameron's card.
Doesn't care. Just go.
So here's the deal. If Cameron's card doesn't work when we leave, he's not getting off the island.
Yeah. But it's like he
doesn't check Cameron's card. He uses his own and scans his own and goes, there, go. Like, stop wasting my time. Don't get on the train.
Exactly.
And it's like he just bought a card and it doesn't work.
So we're freaking
like, is
out.
he ever going to see his family again? Like, we don't know. But like it's all happening so quick, and it's our first time. We can eventually get used to it, but it's our first time. And so it's like, yeah. So like,
yeah, like it became an old hat. Like we were so good at it by the time.
But at that time,
going to and leaving and going to and leaving.
we were okay with
so
it.
it's.
You know what I mean? Like,
so it's like, okay, well,
that was our first day.
Well, Cam barely gets through, and now here comes the subway cars pulling up. So it's like you barely have time to think about that, and it's like, oh, I guess we gotta get on this one, and that's the doors are opening, and we're going.
Because Cameron had gotten through, and like 10 seconds later, oh, there it is. Like we don't even have time to discuss his card. What do we do now?
We're just,
Where do we? Yeah, like
we're like, well, we got to get on this one because like we haven't even had time. Like I haven't checked. Like I'm pretty sure the subway car comes quite often, but at the time I'm like I'm not 100% sure. And like we're in my mind, I'm like, well, if we miss this next one, are we going to show up and there's going to be 300,000 people there and we can't get out, or like I don't know how early to be or whatever. But anyways, so yeah, we get on the metro and it we managed to get on. We're like, I don't know about Cameron's card, but we'll deal with it later. Figure it out after. And then this part's pretty cool because it rolls up, right? And it's like you get out, and I've seen this metro on vlogs and stuff because we had watched vlogs of people who've done the Canadian Grand Prix to sort of get a sense of what we're getting into. That's pretty cool. Like we get out, we go up the stairs, you go out the exit of the metro,
there's
and then
there's another turnstile again.
Oh yeah, I feel like you were more wary of this.
So this time when I was walking toward it and everybody was like funneling through it, I'm like, all right, this thing is like honestly, it's like it's up to here on me, and it's like here. So the first thing I did,
it's huge.
I just reached my hand back and grabbed the bottom of it, and as soon as I went to hit the gate, I shoved it up so it goes above my head, and then it's gonna go through. And then as soon as I get by it, it drops back down.
Works fine.
Great.
Yeah. So we get through that, and you open the door and you step out, and it's like here's all the you're starting to see F1 stuff now. Like you're like this
everywhere.
grandstand that way and this way, and people selling bootlegging tickets and
there was a lot of guys trying to sell tickets and buy tickets.
Yeah, and programs and stuff, and it's like holy crap.
And ponchos.
No, that was the second day.
Uppriced ponchos.
No, the ponchos were the second day.
Oh no, there was a poncho guy.
Yeah, there was a poncho guy.
He went to the dollar store and got them for $1.50 and was trying to sell them for $5.
Yeah,
Dude was hustling. Yeah, he was hustling.
Oh yeah. Anyways,
good for him. Whatever.
Yeah, but like that moment, that was for me anyway. It was like, holy cow! I'm at a Grand Prix. I'm about to go to an event at a Grand Prix.
It still
crazy.
It still hadn't sunk in for me at that point.
Yeah.
Then we started.
I know when it's sunk in.
Then we went to Tyson's favorite part, which was security.
Oh my gosh! Like,
so we had all these little bags. Everybody had a bag. Everybody's bag was just packed with food. Gary had his cookie crumble. I had some jerky, but and when you open up the bag, the first thing the smell of jerky would just know there's jerky in there. Anyway, the guy grabs my bag. He goes, I had a thermos and like a water jug inside of it. And anyway, he went like,
and no lineup at this security table, by the way. But we were about to tell why there was no lineup.
Yeah. So anyway, the guy like unzipped. He made you zip it open. I did. He just looked in it.
His bag. He unzipped his bag.
And he patted it down the side of it and goes, "All right, go." I was like, what?
So we get through and we're comparing notes, and my lady, like, I just walked through. I waited maybe 5 seconds, and someone went, "Come down here, come down here."
Yeah,
all stern, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, was I not allowed to bring a pepperoni stick? Like, am I in trouble? And like this, like, and my first instinct is security here is tight. Like, they've got multiple security.
And then
she looks at my bag, and I brought my camera bag, but it's a book bag camera bag, and I gutted it so I could use it because it's waterproof. So we thought, right? So it's waterproof. And she said, "You open it," and I opened just the top. I said, all I said was, "In this compartment, I just have food." And she doesn't even look down. She goes, "Do you have any alcohol?" And I said, "No." She said, "No beer." And I said, "No." She said, "Go."
You didn't ask me if I had an AK-47.
No, or a bomb, or explosives, or anthrax, or
see,
you know what I mean? Like
I never told you this, but when I went through, the lady I had was she was a little more. So I only opened 2 compartments, but I opened the top one, like where my wallet is, and I'm like, yeah, good, it's okay. And she's like, "Yep." And then she points at the other. Now I had changed into my sandals.
Yeah.
So I put my socks in the shoes and put those in. And so where she's standing there, the bag is like right here. And she opens the bag up and opens it. And I'm like, I'm standing there and all I smell is feet and shoes. I never told you that. And I'm like, I'm sure she can smell this too. And she's like, she just kind of steps back. Like, "Can you move that stuff around?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got no problem." Like, so I'm like, I pull them out and I'm like, "Yeah, you want to see? Is that okay?" Or whatever. And then she's just like, "Yeah, just go." But I was like, "Oh,
but like,
poor
they weren't
woman."
checking any. So after the weekend's over, we're starting to hear all these complaints about the police and security and stuff.
Turning
But in
people
reality,
away.
I was like, security was nice to me, but no, like, they didn't even check.
No.
They checked nothing.
Yeah.
They were there. They were set up. It looked like they were checking people's bags, but I'm telling you, they were not checking people's bags.
Yep.
She didn't look in my bag. She said, "Do you have alcohol?" I said, "No." She said, "No beer." And I said, "No, go."
Yeah, I don't think
That was
why
my
they
whole
said that. No
conversation.
beer. I'm like, no. They didn't even ask
Yeah.
me. They didn't
I
even
said,
more
ask me
worried
that.
no
about-
alcohol.
They just looked at my bag.
Yeah.
The guy patted it down and said, "Go."
All very random. So to tie in with that, so Friday, this whole time, like right up to this minute, like it's beautiful sunny day, not
Yeah.
even that hot out, like
No, it's
just
just
beautiful
nice.
day, to the point that we had forgotten that the weather was predicted to be Armageddon. And so
Which we kept checking every hour just to make sure.
I checked all, like I wasted 50% of my battery checking the weather, I'm sure. And so anyway, so we get through security, like, okay. So in my mind, it just keeps like, okay, we got this far. Because I'm waiting for something to happen that we're
Right,
not
yeah.
going to get to this. And at this point, I'm like, we're really going to get in here. We're like, and then I was like, well, I guess there's tickets. So hopefully that works. So we walk over the bridge that goes over nothing, but you go over the bridge and then
It's to go over a road.
yeah, it's like where the fence
didn't
is. That
get that.
technically is the barrier.
Yeah, they
for the,
built it just to put so the cars could get
yeah. So we get through that, and then there's 2 bridges that lead onto the Notre Dame Island for foot traffic and for vehicles. So we're on one of them, and we're going in, and like you can see the screen, and now you can start to see grandstands, and it's like, man, like wow, this is awesome.
through. Yeah,
So
we're here.
we're here. We did it. That's great. And we kind of like, you guys started checking out some of the merch stores, and there's food trucks everywhere and all this other stuff. I don't know if we want to get into any of that, but like, it was kind of like you just forgot about the weather for a minute, and and then all of a sudden you look up and you just see like
a little gray.
This
You start
wall
to feel like it's like dark, right? And you're kind of like,
it's getting a little dark.
not that bad.
And then it's like, by this point, we had made it to the fan zone, like that's in the middle of the island, and we're like checking out the cars and the sim racing. We're like, oh, that line's where we're checking out all this stuff. And then like in less than a minute, temperature drops 10 degrees.
You can feel
the wind picks up to like a hurricane speed.
Yep.
And it starts hailing. Pelts.
Big hail.
Well,
pelts everybody.
At first, it was just like, it didn't just like drip rain. It like poured rain.
It was downpouring.
And then I'm like, why is this rain like feels like it's hitting me
heavy.
really hard? And I'm like, it's hail. And I mean, they were big.
Yeah, then you look
hail.
down and it's like full on pellet sized pieces of hail.
Yeah.
Like, it's not small.
So everybody's running for cover.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when I watched some of the race back like since, and they were like just floored by the weather. They couldn't believe the weather that was going on. Just never seen hail, and they're showing the hail, and they're wow, this is crazy. And so, anyways, it was a big deal. So we come to find out later, reading on Reddit and stuff, that while this is going on, the police, which we had just come through all this, they were turning people away, saying that the events for the day were canceled. Yeah, so they're saying like no FP1, no FP2, like they're turning people away to go home. I don't know how long that went on for, but after a while, when the rain sort of subsided, they opened it up again. So a whole bunch of people who paid to be there that day either went home or they went back to their hotels, and maybe they're turning like they're getting notifications for like FP1's about to start, and you turn it on and here's all the cars on track. After you've been told it's all canceled. So anyways.
And you would have taken the metro and everything, got there, and then turned around and went home.
Yeah.
So I saw one number online, I think on Reddit, but it doesn't mean it was accurate, that it was as many as 10,000 people.
Yeah, is that right?
Turned around and told to go home.
I think I read Jacques Villeneuve was in the crowd there too. But
that's why he was so mad.
He was talking to people inside the track that were telling him, no, it's not canceled. So he stayed around until they reopened it. But
that's funny. That's why he was so mad this weekend. He was shot out of the can.
We were oblivious to all this.
Yeah. Well, once the lightning...
Because we're just in there ducking for cover.
We just missed it, I guess.
After the hail stopped, the lightning started. And after the lightning went away, they're like, everybody can go back to the grandstands. And we're all looking at each other like, you could... What? They told everybody...
Didn't know we couldn't.
Yeah, because we hadn't heard an announcement to get out of the grandstand.
So it's funny that looking back on it, we were so worried about these things going wrong, and we completely inadvertently avoided a massive disaster, which would have been being turned away to get in. And we're just like, la, 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 aren't these things cool? And we didn't even know we couldn't get in the grandstands. Didn't even know there was 10,000 people who couldn't get in.
So getting turned around.
Yeah, we're just in there like, isn't this fun?
And that was the police that took it upon themselves.
Yeah, that was...
we still don't know the whole story there. They had to have a meeting with F1 and everything.
Organizers are dealing with the police. The organizers are...
Well, and they're dealing with security and dealing with F1 over something else, but we'll probably end with that one. We were
in about 4 hours.
Not even through Friday yet.
We're an hour in and we're on Friday.
I think this might possibly be a two-parter. I'm just saying.
Yeah?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the rain subsides. We all go up, and because there's not as many people there, we all have assigned seats, but during practice, it's a little less strict.
Yeah.
So
the grandstands are half empty, so no one's
we all sat together
for their tickets.
We should point out here that the reason that's significant is because we were under the impression that when you bought a grandstand seat, it was like general admission, except you just pick where you seat. So when we get emailed the tickets like a week before, there's like a section number, a row number, a seat number. So it's like, oh, so I guess we have assigned seats. And then it's like, well, what do you have? And so Cameron and Tyson are right next to each other.
Still not sure how.
Don't have a clue.
Yeah, I'm 10 seats away in the same
think
row.
To our right.
Yeah, I think 8
something
seats
like
away.
But then poor Gary's, how you were like 10 or 15 rows up.
Yeah.
So the reason, so what Cameron's saying is, we had heard that, but practice on Fridays, it's typically not as busy. You could probably get away with sitting wherever you want and not get too much resistance, which was true.
Yes.
Which was true Friday. Wasn't true on Saturday or Sunday.
No, it was not.
But I also have to say too, because at this point we get in and sit down, and I know we're not going to get into the F1 stuff specifically, but just
but we can.
Just so you got to we've been talking about doing this since I was a kid.
Literally.
Literally a kid, right? So here we are at this thing. We're sitting down and we're waiting, and it's we got our rain stuff on and whatever, and you're just
It's really wet. It's really wet.
But Cameron's got us all beat because he's got the riot shield all set up on the grandstand, and he looks like he's he's on holidays. A little margarita there with the big fancy seat. We all had them. All of ours were different. Mine ended up working pretty well, but his was had the the big armrest there. Anyways, we're sitting there, and FP1's about to start, and it's not a super significant part of the weekend. I mean, you got to be pretty hardcore if you're watching practice all the time. But, so we see a screen across from where we're sitting. It's the broadcast of everything that's going on. So where we're sitting, we don't see what's going on at the pit lane. But on the screen, you can see the cameras are following everything that's happening. So you sort of see what's going on. Anyway, so the cars are lining up to come out of the pits. And again, you don't care, but Lewis Hamilton's sitting there. He's ready to go. Light turns green. He hits the track. And it was just kind of oh man, I'm looking at a track that a Formula One car is on right now. Okay, wow. So probably about 40 seconds later, so again, there's track behind us, and then there's the track in front of us that we're looking at. So
because we're down from a hard hairpin
it's
turn.
just a horseshoe. It's
on 180 degrees,
and they come up.
So before we see him, he drove behind us, and we can't see him.
Yep,
we can hear him.
You can hear it coming.
Oh man, and we had seen the previous style cars, the Ferraris had already been out, and it was man, that's fast, that's cool. But it's kind of quiet, and then you just hear this insane.
It sounds like a banshee coming.
Oh man, it just sounds like this weapon coming behind you, and holy cow, that's him behind us. So then we're looking down at the hairpin, and you see him come around,
and the Gophers.
Yeah, there's the Gophers.
yeah, there's the Gophers.
Yeah, but seeing him drive by, and that's the acceleration, seeing an F1 car in person for the first time, it was just mind blowing. It would just anyway. So that was super cool. That was fun. Yeah.
Jason,
look on Cameron's face when Lewis Hamilton drove by. I know we're supposed to be a funny podcast, but that was worth the whole drive.
It was something I had waited, honestly, since 1992 or 91. I always wanted to see them. And even Tyson, when it drove by, he had goosebumps all up his arms, and he was just looking at me going, I can't believe that. Kept hitting me going.
Yeah, when the race started, and it was like the goosebumps up my arm. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
They're all about to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then you felt them go by.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
So back to the funny stuff.
Yes.
Saturday, just as far as seating goes, it's a little more intense. So there's a practice session in the morning, and
I know what you're gonna tell.
There's a practice session in the morning. So we sort of get a routine where we just get up. It's funny. We're all on vacation. We all wake up at 5:30 in the morning because that's 6:30 our time, and we're ready for work. Meanwhile, Gary's
without an alarm,
with no alarm.
No
yeah,
alarms.
we're all just waking up at 5:30 a.m. just ready to go. And meanwhile, Gary's waking up at like 4 o'clock every morning.
You wake up and you rolled over and look, and here's Gary.
It's like, that's a reminder that you're not kids, right? It's like it's like 4 old guys like, 5:30, go get up and at her. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had kind of gotten into a bit of a, like, we're not worried about the transit now. It's okay, we know what to do. So anyways, we're all that to say is we're getting to the track quite early. So Saturday, it's like we'd almost just get there and we'd make our way inside and then be like, okay, so what do you want to do? Like, it's a huge island. We can walk around, check out all this stuff. So Gary says, when you walk in, we'd have been turning right to get to our grandstand, and Gary says, why don't we go the other way? See if we can go around the other way. It's like, yeah, cool. Yeah, let's check her all out while we're here. So we start down this walking path and we go by a couple grandstands and we're walking along. And then it kind of feels like we're like walking like out of the whole event area. And it's like, I don't know if this is the right way or not, but I'm not sure.
But there's no signage and there's no security.
But there are some people walking there. They're not a lot, but there's some.
There's people headed that way, so it's like, okay, well, it can't be that crazy. So we get to like this spot in the road. We're walking next to a road, like on a sidewalk, and then there's this road that sort of turns to the right. And we get to this thing, and we turn around and look down there, and then like there's this whole sea of red Ferrari pit area. There's cars and it's
Ferrari
like
wall, all these trailers,
these trailers, but there's not a ton of people. But we're like, oh, cool. What's this? Like, and then we're looking around, like, are we allowed to can we just go down there? Do you need a pass or whatever?
Then what I do, and it looks hilarious because I think back to it. I'm like, guys, come here. So the 4 of us are in a huddle and they're all looking at me going, what? I'm like, listen, Dad taught me this a long time ago. And they're like, okay, if you act like you're supposed to be there, walk in like you own the place, they're not going to question it. So we're going to do that. And we did.
And we did. I mean, I think looking back on it, I think it was just all open to anybody anyway, but but we just kind of confidently walked down. And we walk down this kind of a hill, and like all of a sudden the race control people they're coming out and they're, okay, I'll get to the side, off the road. And we're like, oh, well, they wouldn't be doing that unless something's going on. And literally right around the corner from where we're standing, all these Ferrari series. What Ferraris were they, Cameron? What cars were they?
They were like 458s, I think, something like that, maybe.
I think you're right.
Something like that. I don't know, but they're decked out to be like racing series. They're modded.
They're all Ferrari race cars.
They're all, and they just start funneling off the track, going like right by us and stuff. So we're like, man, this is cool. So we're just standing still so they don't throw us out, and we can just kind of stand here and watch this stuff going on. There's other people around too. And so anyways, that was great. We toured around that whole pit lane. We figured out on the other side, the Porsches were all over there. And so walked around. I think, Cameron, you talked to the mechanics. And
with the mechanics.
F1 media shuttle drove by us. Mr. Stroll's courtesy shuttle tried to drive in.
Yeah. Had to get parked.
I saw a video of exactly where we were today, and Carlos Sainz was walking through talking to the Ferrari guys, and security asks him to move, and someone has to yell, "He's a driver!" Like they did. Security didn't know
serious?
Who he was. Yeah.
Oh, man.
It looked like it was Friday, from what I could tell. Going by the weather that we now have memorized for what the weekend was, it must have been Friday.
It must have been Friday.
Yeah, because it wasn't pouring rain yet, and every other day it was cloudy. So
yeah, because I think that road that we found that went down the other side of the water, I'm pretty sure that's how the drivers all get down there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because they
I
went
think
all
that's
the way.
how.
They went all the way down.
Well, and that's where Mr. Stroll's car was getting down there. And one of the F1 media shuttles, which could have had anybody in it. Jacques could have been in it.
Who knows? Yeah.
Marty could have been in it. Danica could have been in it. We don't know who was in that car.
Yeah.
They've got them tinted black, so you can't see in the car.
Not a clue. Who
Yeah. They don't want to.
Yeah.
But what a great idea that was. We decided to go the other way, and we stumbled across all that. And so then it's like, well, like, I guess, practice is going to start. So we go in and watch practice. later in the day, it's qualifying, so the seating gets a little more intense. The people like you're getting to more like significant stuff.
During the first practice that day, so it'd be FP3, it was starting to get more intense, but it was almost because I think people that were there for qualifying were there to go to practice too. So now they're starting to look for their seats.
Yeah.
Because they're there anyway, they might as well go to practice, right? So like,
yeah.
I know that the people in front of me and Cameron were getting pretty strict. They're around, yeah.
Well,
qualifying.
Which one? Like, because Tyson, you had a whole saga with the heat and the.
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, during free practice, so I have, and this is, I even called my wife. I'm like, I don't know what to do here. Like, what do I do here? So like for maybe the third time in my life, and I don't know what, it reminded me when I built my house years ago, I actually had, we think I had heat stroke. And what followed, the uncontrollable sweating and stuff, like just abnormal, like, yes, I'm hot, but why am I sweating so much? Was like nausea. And all of a sudden, like I passed out for like a full day and I was out of it and I couldn't eat and all this stuff. And there I am. And Cameron's my witness to this because Cameron was nice enough to switch me seats after because he's like, you can't sit there. You got to. The guy in front of me kept fidgeting in his seat. And the whole time he did not give a rip if from my knees down to my ankles, my whole shins are resting on his back. He did not seem to care. And every time he took a drink, he'd lean way back in his seat and he's resting on me. The guy behind me, who thank goodness wasn't there at qualifying, this was during practice. I don't know where he must not have been sitting there. Must not have been his seat, Cam.
Must not have been.
Right.
You know what I mean? He must have parked himself there for practice. He's touching my back. And to be fair to him, I'm actually probably in his space because this guy in front of me shoved so far back. And I'm 6'5". And I got Cam to my left. And he's squished in on the other side of him. So like mine and Cameron's arms are touching the whole time. And it's not a big... And I got a girl and her father to my right. And like she's resting against my arm. And like from all four sides, like I'm not even claustrophobic, but I'm like the heat is just... And it's not raining yet. Like we've had showers and then it goes away.
Actually, the sun was beating at that point.
At that point it was.
And I had a shirt about the color that I have on now, like the Red Bull Navy t-shirt, which is you know what I mean? And like I'm getting beat on by the sun and I've got body heat in front of me, behind me, to my right and to my left. And I just had this whole like, I'm losing 10 pounds sitting here. I'm like a UFC fighter trying to make weight. Like I'm just... And like, I've never, maybe the third, fourth time in my life. And when we were I'm sitting there contemplating, like, am I going to have to leave and like buy a new shirt or leave and go buy deodorant to throw in my bag or because I got to go clean myself up. And when it was over and the couple next to us left and people got up, all I did was lift my arms. And when I stood up and my back left my backrest, I could feel all of the sweat just run down me. Like my arms had been holding it this whole time. And the body heat, because even my own arms, like what do you do when you're cold, fellas? You go like this, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my arms had been like this the whole time in the heat.
Yeah.
And the second I went to move, it was like, like just. So we leave free practice and qualifying's in 2 hours. And I said, boys, I went and talked to info and everything. There's nothing on the island. I said, I think I'm going to have to leave, which means leave the island. And I just need to find a cheap shirt, deodorant. So I just got to clean myself up.
Yeah.
Cheapest shirt I could find was $120. So that wasn't happening. And Cam doesn't know I know, but Cam just being a good friend worried about me, right? Like I'm going downtown Montreal by myself. Cameron's like, Tice, you can't go by yourself. Buddy, I'll be fine. You can't go by yourself. You can't do it. You can't go by yourself. Like you're going to get on the tram, you're going to leave, you're going to go off the island. We don't know where you are. You're going to go by yourself. And I was like, buddy, it'll be fine. So I'm set on that I'm going. And then he doesn't know that I know. He looks at Jay and goes, Jeremy, you got to say something to Tyson. Like you say something. Like real concerned.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think in Cameron's mind, like we're going to lose him. What if he's not back for qualifying? He could be gone for 3 hours. Where's he gone? Boys, I walked out. There's nobody going out. Everybody's coming in. I hopped on the tram. I got off the tram. I walked up a hallway. There's Jean Coutu. I bought a deodorant. No shirt under $120. I went into the bathroom. I ripped off my shirt. 3 strangers walked in. I'm topless. I'm like, hi. And I just ran my shirt in cold water over and over and over again. And I was splashing cold water myself. Like, I'm sweating so bad. Do you know what I mean? And probably the best thing I could have done for myself is I put that now ice cold shirt on me.
Yeah.
Like I wrung it out and it was nice and cold.
Yeah.
And I kind of sat in it for a sec and I put on deodorant and I reapplied everything because I just washed it off. Right. And I put on deodorant and put on spray and did whatever else. And then just like it was sent from above, I'm worried about like, do I smell now? Because I was sweating so bad, but I just put on new deodorant and body spray. I bought a body spray on purpose because I was scared I was going to smell. And I just rinsed out my shirt. I'm walking back in, and here's this guy going, free sample, free men's cologne. So I'm like, yes. Sure, I will. Right? And I don't know if but I was fine the rest of the day. It was almost like it's like I had squashed it just in time because even standing in the store, I was still like, I'm losing weight standing here. Like, it's just.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what's happening to me. Am I on the verge of heat stroke? What's going on? So, buddy. Oh, go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
My explanation, since I was sitting like 10, 15 rows above, took me a little bit longer to get down there. So I get down off the grandstands. Tyson's already gone. Cameron has this huge look of concern on his face. He's like, Gary, Tyson had to leave the island. I was like, what? He had to leave the island. He's like, yeah. He needed to go get deodorant.
You should have seen the look on Gary's face when he just looked at me and goes, what?
Well, Gary would have thought something was really wrong. I'm just worried about how much I'm sweating, and I'm almost starting to not feel good.
Gary,
so
for a split second, is like, am I ever going to see him again? It's like, no, he was just worried about how he's going to smell.
He was set upon a quest.
But man, you were like the butler from Mr. Deeds because, like, I don't even remember what we did. We barely did anything, and then like
for the porta potty.
Yeah, I don't even think we moved from that center spot. And then all of a sudden,
I left that whole park. I walked off the bridge. I got on the metro. I got off in the thing. I found the Jean Coutu. I did all that I just told you. I walked back onto the metro. Didn't have to wait. Walked back on the island. I was 40 minutes total round trip.
I was like the butler for Mr. Deeds.
And then didn't even have to look for you. I walked back to where we were sitting. It was like, hey, fellas.
Yeah, we were still there.
You were coming out of the grandstands. It's like you were standing where I left you.
It's crazy. Considering the lines and things, and later, like, considering how long it takes to that you were that quick, it was so funny.
So I thought you were going to talk about the guy that probably caused my borderline heat stroke anyway later at qualifying.
That was part two, but yeah, you feel free to start that one.
Oh, you go for it. We have two different versions of this because you saw it on one end of the row and we saw it on the other.
Well, we're like 10 seats apart, so we see this different, but the action's all in the row in front of us. Like, I'm looking around too, and I'm seeing, like, I'm watching. I'm like, nope, it's all happening right here. So this guy and his wife are sitting, like, I'm in seat 5. They're in 1 and 2, so they're right next to the aisle, which is great because it feels like you got space, but you have to move for literally every other seat. You have to get up and move. So it's kind of like
there's no room. Like, people are stepping on your feet.
They jam as many seats as they can. So at this point, we're sitting in our assigned seats because, like, we don't want any, we don't want to screw around with any of that. Yeah, so it's qualifying. So Q1 starts. This guy gets up a couple times. Like, people are still coming in, and you're doing the whole, like, they couldn't have been sitting down, like, when this thing started. But
yeah, you knew it was starting. There's a big countdown clock and everything. Like, you're just coming in now.
People are coming. So it's like partway. It's like almost through Q1, which, like, basically it's almost 15 minutes.
It had started
into
like,
the first.
Into it.
Yeah, cars are going around. So anyways, this big fella comes in. He's got an Aston Martin jersey on, and his wife has some Ferrari stuff on. And he's looking and pointing. So at this point, what happens is, because it's bleachers, there's no armrests.
There's no walkways.
The seats can all get shuffled around. Like, if people don't...
It's like basketball bleachers in a high school gym.
Yeah, like if you don't sit square on top of your number, you're going to throw off the whole rest of the row. So it's like there's probably some extra seats in here, but everyone's spread out a bit. So it looks like it's full, but, like, really you're supposed to sit a bit tighter. So he comes in and he's looking and he's pointing like, well, okay, well, our seats are down there and it looks like there's no seats. So this guy and his wife on the end, they get up so they can get in. And they start saying stuff to each other. And at first, I just thought they knew each other. But then, then I hear the wife say, they're trying to get into their seat. She's like, just go. Just go. And she's like yelling at him. And so they're like, so now everyone in front of me, they're standing up so these people can get by. And the guy.
And no, you can't see.
Now I can't see.
And it's in the middle of qualifying.
This is the whole curve.
That's why you're supposed to be in your seat before it starts, because now the people behind you can't see.
But this guy in the Aston Martin, he's like beat red. Like he is like seeing red. He's like trying to get by. He's borderline pushing people on top of me because he's trying to turn around and look at this other guy.
While he's walking.
So he gets down and turns out their seats are directly in front of Tyson and Cameron. But before the guy sits down, he's looking back. He's looking back at the guy who's almost in front of me, and he's letting on like he's going to throw a beer can at him. And the guy sitting on my end is going...
blowing kisses out.
He's going like this while his wife is grabbing his arm and being like, stop it. Don't put your arm down. Don't drop it. So, I thought for sure I was going to see a fight. If not right then when they left.
I was watching for it when they left.
know, I was too, but I think
it's the same guy that had the chair way too big earlier that was pushed into me, which didn't help my situation. It's the exact same guy.
The guy that was leaning way back in front of you,
leaning
Cam?
way back, pushing me back, and I'm pushed into the guy behind me, and you're trying not to.
So at this point, where Tyson came back, I was like, listen, you're not going to sit behind that guy. I'm going to sit behind that guy because I'm a little smaller, and the one to the other side doesn't have a chair or anything like that. So he comes down, and he's mouthing about something, and he takes a can, and he's going to throw it again.
We don't know what's happening. We missed Jeremy's whole end of it.
Yeah, you didn't see
what's going on. This guy's problem? Anyway, he flops down on the seat, but when he does, he throws himself back. Well, okay, I am a passive-aggressive person. I apologize, but I am. So he put his seat, and the way his seat was, like my knee was here, and his back was like that.
And Cam, it wasn't even straight.
No, it wasn't even straight.
But now we know he was in such a tiff that his chair was sitting kind of like a 45.
So anyway, he left a couple of things, but then he started drinking more beer, and every time he did, like
leaning way back.
You know, most people drink something like this. He was going
every time.
So
leaning way back, leaning into your knees every time.
And he was hitting my knees. So I was kind of getting annoyed. And finally, I just looked at Tyson and I asked Tyson, I had this little grin on my face. And Tyson's looking at me going, what are you going to do? So every time he would lean back, I just moved my knee a little farther over and a little further over and a little further over. So at this point, I was probably, what, Tyson? Right about on his spine, right? Yep. So he went to do the big lean. I just lift my knee straight up and got him right in the spine. Every time. So Tyson's watching.
So towards the end. I know what Cameron's doing now. And there's 2 bars in his seat. Like Jeremy was kind of like yours, but bigger.
Yeah, I know.
I moved my knee out so that it's resting right against that bar. So the last time he took a drink, there was no give to that thing. It was like wham. Like he is not moving. And after that, he got the impression he didn't do it again.
Because I had my knee on the other bar and had my other knee in his spine. After that, he leaned forward. He leaned forward. He didn't even try to lean
he
back.
didn't lean back again the rest of the thing. He got 2 knees in the back.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
So, what a put in your weird car noise here. Like, but even before that, Cam, as he sat down, so Jeremy would have witnessed some of this because Jeremy even said, like, he's got his bag on his back and he's turning around, still yelling at him. His wife's telling him to go. He's got a way bigger book bag than any of the 4 of us brought. And then tied to the back of that book bag, because he was too lazy to carry it, he must have bought something at the F1 store. I think he bought the Aston Martin shirt because at free practice he had a Red Bull shirt on. So he's also a traitor. He switched teams halfway through the day. Red Bull didn't look good in practice, so he switched to Aston Martin halfway through the day. Okay? No respect for that. No respect for that. So he's got this F1 store bag hanging off the back of his book bag, making it like he must have been from the side. He must have looked like he was 3 feet deep. Because he's already a big, stocky guy.
Big fella.
And this big book bag hanging off the back, and then off the book bag, he tied another bag. And he turns around and he folds his seat back on the thing because he had left it there all day instead of taking it with him. And he's motioning like he's going to throw these cans of Heineken at the guy, not a sponsor, way down the other end of the thing. And this bag on his bag is flopping around and it's swinging everywhere. And this poor woman who's sitting next to him that doesn't know them, I reach out and I grab his bag. And I know Cameron's seen that look on my face before where I'm completely prepared to, I will throw down. This guy will sit down.
Yeah.
Because he's standing up, his wife's standing up. His wife looks mortified. Like she does not look happy with him. Like she is embarrassed.
Yeah.
She's mad. She's in this bag. So this poor woman in front of me gets hit in the head. And she never got hit in the head because I grabbed his bag. And he's so mad. He doesn't even notice that I've grabbed his bag. And then I let go. I think it's fine. And he motions at him again. And it must have been Jay. That guy's blowing kisses.
Yeah, probably. That's probably the point. The other guy's going.
Well, meantime, qualifying's going on and we're missing it. So I'm doubly mad because
we're
it's
watching.
Like, you're hitting this woman with your bag. Your seat's jiggity janked and all over the place. Your bag's flopping around now you're motioning. Your wife's telling you to sit down. Qualifying has started and we're trying to watch it. Like it's this whole, we paid a lot of money to be here. We waited a whole year to come. I've been waiting since I was 15 to see one. And you're standing in front of me throwing a hissy fit over seats. Right? So I was completely prepared for like I'm about to wreck your day, dude, if you don't sit down. And, her husband notices what's happening. And now he doesn't look happy. The woman next to him. So he reaches out and grabs his bag and gives it a bit of a tug. And after he gave it a tug, Buddy takes off his book bag, unties it, and sits down. I was like, okay, so he's getting the impression everyone around him's not happy. He doesn't say hello. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't say sorry about that. He says nothing. And for the next 40 minutes, his wife sits there looking like she's going to kill him. Like she's as red as her Ferrari shirt, Cam? She is mortified.
What a memorable event.
Anyway, they didn't come to the race.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was watching
the Grand Prix.
Yeah, they didn't show up. That's one of the funny things about it is it's not always the same people like from day to day. Like around me on Grand Prix day, what a different atmosphere. I had these two people in front of me. They were like an older, couple or whatever. They hadn't been to one before, but she's chatty or whatever. And she turns around. She's saying something to her husband about, I think the snowbirds are supposed to fly after Cirque du Soleil performs. And there's a young couple sitting beside me, decked out in the Ferrari stuff. And she's like, yes, I heard the same. She's like, I can't wait to see the snowbirds. So then I pipe in. I'm like, well, like the overcast, I'm not sure. Maybe, because they're like, well, did they fly already? And I'm like, well, I'm not sure, but it's pretty overcast. So maybe they can't fly today. Oh, okay. So where are you from? Well, I'm from out east and blah, blah, blah. And my name's Evelyn and this is my boyfriend, Joe. And I'm like, oh, I'm Jeremy, whatever. And there's a young girl sitting beside me. She's got a Norris shirt on, seems to be there by herself. She's listening in the whole time. So I'm like, oh, what's your name? She's like, oh, I'm Clara. Hey, I'm Jeremy, whatever. Totally different vibe, Grand Prix day. I'm having a great time with these people I don't know. So we talk about everything going on in the race all Sunday. It was just like, it was great. It was like my friends. And then at the end in the chaos and all that, we all just, everyone sort of separates, but I was kind of sad I didn't get to say so long to my new friends.
Poor Gary's way up behind us. The guy, there was a guy there for the first time. He just retired, and with some of his severance package, he decided, I'm going to go to a Grand Prix. He lives just north of Toronto and brought his daughter with him. She doesn't know much about racing, but she's along for the ride, and he loves F1. So decided had a great conversation with him. The family, Cameron, on the diagonal from us, were from Australia.
Yep.
The couple in front of us, I think, were American, but I got to know the young lad in front of me real well. He's 6'4", and he's 20 years old. And when he saw the height of me, he knew what was up. So we kind of bonded over that. So he sat directly in front of me on purpose so that his back was dead center. and my knees were right there. So I actually had a little bit of leg room, not like the idiot from the morning. And he knows, and including on the last lap when everybody stood up. Hey, Cam witnessed this. Everybody stands up and we're all holding out as long as we can. And only tall guys understand this, right? So I know Jeremy and Gary know it's good. The guy turns around and he doesn't stand up. He turns around, he looks at me and gives this look like, sorry. Like, because he knows if he can't see now, and if he stands up, I got to stand up, and the people behind me aren't going to be able to see. So he stood up. I kind of shrugged. I stood up, and we're clapping. He turns around, and he goes, man, we waited as long as we could.
That's so great.
Because there's no way the people in the next two rows could see behind us.
As a tall person, you have to kind of be somewhat responsible for the people behind you.
A little bit. But then when you stand up in front of me, you left me with no choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I paid too, and I want to see.
But like you say, I mean, everyone's standing on the last lap. Like you
Everyone's
gotta
standing on the last lap.
do it. But anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well.
Yeah. I know.
I feel like we're missing stuff, but
Cameron, did your dad get his hat yet?
No. He will though.
We're not going to discuss the hat fiasco, right?
Which one?
The several hat fiascos.
Part 2.
Part 2. So, the announcer comes on, the race ends, and I feel like we've just watched Race of the Year. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, I've talked to other people at work and stuff. They said it was like best race of the year.
So like, anybody who says it wasn't just doesn't like Max. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was a hard earned one for Red Bull and they lost a car too, and
some safety car, advantages and
I think
stuff like that.
Leaders changed 4 times or 5 times.
Oh, yeah.
That never happens. And like Miami was a great race too, but I think Canada just barely edged it out there. But it was just exciting and a lot of strategy.
Super exciting, yeah.
So the announcer comes on and it's like, basically, grandstand folks, you're going to be allowed on the track because the podium presentation at the end of the track. He says, so watch for the clearly marked exits for security. What clearly marked? I didn't see any. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't see one clearly marked anything with. But see, I think they're talking to the people in the grandstands near the finish line.
Yes. Grandstand 1 specifically.
But they don't
only one that exists. But these on-track commentators who were complete trash.
Yes. Oh, they were terrible. The
Formula
F1s
Ones
are back on track. The Formula Ones are back on track, folks. There's Toto Wolff, the director of McLaren. No, he's not. He's the team principal of Mercedes, but that's okay. Like, we'll keep fixing your commentary as you go. And the thing is, like, it's on the speakers, so Toto Wolff can hear him say that. Because he's standing right there in the pit, right?
But you're 100% right. He's talking about Grandstand 1, and that's it.
So all day, they kept referencing Grandstand 1 and the people in Grandstand 1. And we know it's starting to rain because we can see the people in Grandstand 1 all day. And then at the end of the day, he said, folks in the grandstands. And he doesn't say Grandstand 1. I've had days to think about this now. But he doesn't say. So people are clearing out and they're leaving. Not everyone's rushing the track. They're leaving, right? And we all gather up because we've been sitting in 3 different places between the 4 of us, and we kind of tie our bags back up, and it's kind of like, we going for it?
Yep.
And instead of hanging a left to leaving the grandstand, we hung a right, and it's like, let's get on the track. We can say we were on the circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. Let's get on the track.
Yeah.
Right? And away we went, and now to come find out the race organizers are in trouble. All the cars weren't back to the paddock yet.
Which
and as evidence, the 4 of us are walking. I'm taking a selfie video with you guys, and I could hear Gary go, Tyson, and a horn beep, and there's a flatbed truck with one of the Alpines on the back, which, when it drove by on that flatbed, was the fastest an Alpine looked all weekend. I'd like to add.
Yeah.
But the track was, and I'm having this moment
both
of
Williams go by like 15 feet. And
like,
I
these
kind of
trucks
had
are going by, and we're on the track.
I had the moment too of like, I don't think we're supposed to be on here when that thing's going by.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And there was not enough security. People were ripping the DRS signs off the wall and the fire extinguisher signs off the wall and the just
anything that wasn't nailed down.
Anything that wasn't nailed down, they were taking it so they could have something. And I watched one guy ask security if he could rip the sign off the wall cam, the exit sign on the thing. And I watched them go, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
You're security.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I saw another video too where a guy filmed it. He was on the track right where we walked by. So it was someone that we were right. And like guys came after we walked by and they were already spray painting over the Canada GP signs. They had the big sprayer out. They were already spraying them white. We weren't even off the track yet.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Just wild. So anyway, but we did end up, we weren't supposed to be there yet, but we ended up down by the Wall of Champions and in front of the pit and got some pictures of the cars. We were right there next to the pits. And then Jeremy's boy jumps up on the fence there. We were in a pretty packed crowd, but Lando Norris jumps up on the fence.
Well, I got to say, even before that, like we were walking by the back of the grid just as they were rolling, the guys who finished first, second, and third, their cars kind of get displayed a bit later, but they all have to go through FIA inspection. So just as we're going by the back, there's Lando Norris's car, Max Verstappen's car, and George Russell's car all lined up right at the end, like on the other side of the fence. So got some cool pictures of those cars, like through the fence right up close. And then, we just sort of work our way down, and then all of a sudden people are freaking out. Like, what are they looking at? And then here's Norris. He jumped up on the pit wall fence doing an Instagram story. And then like right after he does, George Russell jumps up like within 10 feet of you guys.
Yeah, we were within 10 feet of George Russell.
Pretty cool.
I had to hold Cameron back. I've never seen him.
Yeah. Yeah. And you saw Verstappen walk by. He waved to you.
Okay. So I am unashamedly going to tell you, and Cameron was pretty close to me. He was in full conversation and not waving to the crowd. And I went on like such a moron. Max, I said, Max, hey, go Max. You know what I mean? And like just losing my ever-loving mind that he laughs, looks up and waves at us. And Cam are all decked out in the Red Bull stuff and everything. And I got my Red Bull rain jacket on that can't block a drop of rain, by the way. Money well spent. Jeremy knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, unfortunately.
McLaren, and it's like anything more than a light mist. You're toast. And I'm waving to him, and he stops and waves. And I got my phone up, trying to take a video of me having this interaction with Max Verstappen. And I was like, man, Max just waved at me. I went on like an idiot. Maybe I can edit it out, but Max just waved at me. I checked my video. The whole time my camera's like on his handler. Zoomed right in. Max isn't even in the video.
It's like the lady walking with him.
Yeah, that's what
Full
I got.
frame
I got
of the lady.
Video of the lady that's walking with him. And I got Max like finishing his wave at the end, like, but I don't have like, I at least have a witness to it, but I don't. The video didn't work because I was so caught up in like.
Oh, it's so funny. It's funny.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah,
anyway,
then began the process of 3 hours of trying to get off the island. So.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, yeah. This whole podcast could be 4 hours long. But like, is there anything in particular you guys remember that was like extra funny that like we might have missed?
Not that I know of.
Not extra funny. No, like it was a good weekend, boys, and
oh yeah, I went into that thinking like, oh, this is a once in a lifetime thing, and it's like you just do it and say you did it, and like for the last since we've been home, I'm like, oh, maybe I should renew. Should I renew the tickets? Should we go next year?
There's a discount on the renewed ticket too, because if you renew it and just do it again, it's like a pre-sale discount thing.
Yeah.
Because they're not for sale yet, but if you had one, you could renew yours. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very tempting. Because people say like you only see the cars whiz past you and then like you don't really get, nothing goes on. But that track is so short that like it's barely any time at all and they're around again. And I guess probably because the race was so exciting, it made it a little more, engaging. But like every time it seemed like the cars went around, you didn't know who was going to be in the lead or anyways.
No. It just
No, it was a great race to go to. Like what a race to go to for your first race, because like it'd be hard for another one to live up to that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And then we got home and heard tell of all these problems with the police and security and the FIA's investigating why. Well, we were on the track and all these other things, and it was like, man, I was oblivious to all these problems because that was wicked.
Yeah.
I was oblivious to all these because, like, man, like Cam, we stood on the finish line, man.
I know.
Like we stood right under the lights.
There's a cool
pic
line of Cam with the Salut. What does it say? Salut Gilles.
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
man. Yeah. So it's.
And if you like EDM, it's a good event.
It's constant. The cars are driving by, and you can still hear the.
Just the whole time.
That's all you can hear. That's all you can hear.
Entire time.
They had a monster drink extreme games type thing set up with like a half of a half pipe, Gary, with some skateboarders, some BMX guys, a crash bag for a dirt bike guy, which I've seen no one on them the whole weekend because it was so wet all weekend, and a DJ and all these outside lights, but all the lights were green. But their PA was so loud that no matter where you were in the middle of the track, you heard
the entire time
over the race cars. They'd drive by, it would disappear for a second. And then like as the car is driving by, you hear like it faded right back into your ears again. Like
you move into a spot where the speakers get out of phase and you're wondering, am I about to pass out?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like yeah. Anyway, bucket list. That was
big bucket list thing checked off.
Blew my expectations like right out of the water.
Absolutely.
Highly recommend.
Me too.
If you hate money and you want to wait in lines forever and get soaking wet.
Oh, boys, we didn't.
When the race is done, if you're looking for something to eat, the Baton Rouge in Boucherville, some good ribs, right, Cameron?
They were amazing. Amazing.
How were they, Cam?
Did you eat those yet?
Oh, yeah. Took them to work the next day.
The next day? Cameron! You didn't have food poisoning from the...
No, a rib. Once you cook a rib like that, no, it's fine as long as you refrigerate it.
Was that floating around in water in the cooler for 9 hours?
No.
Where was it?
On top of it was on top of the cans. There was enough stuff in that cooler. There was no water other than the cold cans and the cans with the cold.
That's good. Did anyone ask you where you get your ribs from?
Nope.
I wish they had have.
Oh, it's my doggy bag from Baton Rouge in Montreal.
Yeah.
You were in Montreal 2 days ago.
Still here.
Ribs were so good, I drove them all the way home.
I just remember, I just love the guy saying, oh, you want a box for those? And Cameron's like, yep. And Gary just looks over. You going to eat those tonight?
No. So you're going to take them home then? Yeah.
I was thinking, you trust the microwave in our hotel room?
I don't trust anything else in our hotel room.
Should put them under that death laser in the bathroom there.
Yeah, actually, you could have. Yes,
heat them right up in half a second there.
I've never heard a light bulb sound like that in my life.
You take the styrofoam down, it's just the bones left in it. Just evaporated the meat right off the side of it.
Oh, I wish people could see. We should have taken a picture of this light.
Oh, and the funny part was 2 days in a row we left. We didn't turn it off. It's
a timer. It's supposed to shut itself off.
It's supposed to shut.
Yeah, it was still on.
Yeah,
our bathroom was 42 degrees.
You hit that light blasted for 8 straight hours. You get the air conditioner at the other end trying to counteract it. Power meter in the hotel probably spun off and
like
cartwheeled down the highway.
Do you remember
No
when we
wonder.
were kids in the 90s and that movie came out, Fire in the Sky? Like the guy's walking in the woods, this light comes on over his head. He looks up. You walked into our bathroom. That's what it looked like. It looked like you were supposed to be abducted by aliens. It was just this big, bright, washy light.
No wonder the room never got cleaned. The lady probably opened up the door and said, nope.
Nope.
They probably sent 2 or 3 in there and they never come back. They just evaporated.
Somebody's bronzaging in the bathroom.
18 plus. Bronzage. Oh, gosh. Well, go, Max, go.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
Oh, great race.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You
Great
guys look
race,
cute
good
in your matching shirts.
Heck yeah.
Well, Cameron, though, I thought maybe you'd have your Piastri shirt on by now.
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. You can't just trade. Like,
you can have more than one driver you like. I like more than one. There's no.
Oh man, everyone who was sitting around me had multiple. Like the guy sitting next to me in qualifying was like super pumped about Hamilton, and then like Norris would be on a flyer and he'd be like, "Come on, Lando, yeah!" And then he was like, "Lewis, yeah!" And I'm like, you just cheer for everybody. You never lose. Is that it or what?
What
Like,
did
I'm
you do when
watching
Lance came by?
Yeah, no one. I don't think anyone knew he was racing.
no.
So funny, man. That's that
people
guy's
in the
home
paddock
race.
club. The people in the paddock club getting the tour around the track got a better ovation than Lance Stroll.
Oh man, guy.
Just so people know, all the drivers get pulled behind a transport truck and they wave to the crowd, like, because that'll be your chance to actually get to see them for a sec. And it's they wave them around. And then people paid all this money. And Jay, how much was it when we looked it up? Like an extra $6,000 or something?
Oh yeah. Oh well, there was packages more than that too.
There was packages more than that too. But for that much, you also got driven around like the drivers. So essentially, just know, here's all these rich people on the back of this flatbed truck, and here's all us cretins sitting in the grandstand. And here comes the transport truck with all these people in the back of the paddock. And everybody, as if we had talked about it before, but nobody did. Boo! Boo!
I appreciated some of them though. Like some guys were in that and they were going like, let's hear it. Come on.
Because let's be real. I'm booing you, but I'd totally trade places with you. Like I want on that truck.
I'm only mad as it ain't me.
Yeah, that's why we're all actually booing you. But
Yeah.
one guy was a good sport about it there on the back. But
Yeah.
no, it was a good time, fellas. I'd do it again for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd do it again this season. Let's go to Vegas.
Oh gosh.
Man, how many cinnamon rolls is that trip?
At least 24 each.
We could set up a stand and sell some of them to pay for the tickets.
Cameron would feed the whole flight crew on the way there.
Yep. Maybe that'd get us in there.
All right,
Yeah.
fellas.
Yeah, I should shut her down. Ooh, she's a long one. Yeah.
That's all right.
If you're still listening there, you're a super fan, so
Yeah.
God bless you.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, folks. See you on the next one.
He had to leave the island. It's like, yeah, he needed to go get deodorant.
You should have seen the look.
You just wasted some of your life listening to the Bush League Podcast. You must stop what you're doing right now. Like and subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and like us on Facebook.